Summer is well underway, but the truth is the heat is yet to come. August is going to be one of the hottest months. It usually is when it comes to summer in South Florida. So we want to give you some tips on how to stay cool during one of the hottest months of the year. With that, I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And you're watching the Southern Boating and Yachting podcast. So let's get into it, because the truth is it gets so hot that the water is up into the upper 80s. Jumping into the water for a swim doesn't cool you off.
It is so hot in August, September, that there are some tricks to the trade of staying cool and maintaining a healthy presence outside.
So let me give you some bullet points before we jump into the details. First, shade and airflow. Second, your power and air conditioning. Third, planning your day a little differently, believe it or not. Great tip. Fourth is paying attention to your crew or guests. And then fifth is galley. So plans about how to make food when you're in the middle of the summer.
Foods to eat too during the summer, right?
And then finally, I would say boat systems and if we have some time to film, maybe some tips on other things to bring along. But the boat systems actually is very important. So that's why we're saving it for last. We want you to watch the whole episode. By the way, subscribe to the channel. So let's jump into the shade and airflow.
Shade is so important in the summer months. Not only are you trying to cool yourself off, but protect yourself from the harmful sun rays. So that's bimini tops, sure shade in the cockpit area, shade sails in your foredeck. Get yourself as much shade as possible from the sun, so you're not in direct sunlight all the time.
This is literally the biggest comfort per dollar that you could invest in when it comes to enjoying being out.
And not only that, but the water reflects a lot of sun rays too. So any break that you can get from it is important.
It reminds me of the movie Fools Rush In. Have you seen that?
Yes.
With Matthew Perry and what's that? Selma Hayek? Yeah.
Selma Hayek,
And they're telling him, the parents, the Hispanic parents are telling Matthew Perry's parents, oh, you should put some sunblock because the water reflects off the water like a mirror. And they're like, no, I think if we stay in the shade, we'll be fine. No, you won't be. If you haven't seen that scene, go watch it. It's hilarious.
Absolutely.
Sunblock multiple times, not just one day, every day, and multiple times a day. Yeah.
Super, super important. Know your sun protection products.
Absolutely. So the next tip when it comes to shade and airflow is keeping a breeze throughout. And this, for me, one of the most important pieces is anchoring for airflow, not just for protection, which I think a lot of people forget. So you want to point your bow towards the prevailing breeze.
Now, it's easy on the open water, but some of the things that when we get into the mangroves can block the wind. If you don't have a breeze, it's just going to feel much hotter than it actually is.
So let's move on to power and air conditioning.
A lot of people need to run their genset to have their AC running. But what comes with running your generator? Fumes, sound. So you want to be cautious of the people around you. But it might be necessary for you depending on who you have on board. You know, if you have very young children, they might need a break. If you have some older adults, them as well. So running your air conditioning in a cabin to give people a chance to kind of rapidly cool off might be an option for you.
And so what I have here is some of the quieter routes that a lot of owners are taking. And we see this in talking to our readers and going out on the water and talking to people that are out in marinas. Things that they're doing is soft starters, DC air conditioning, and lithium banks to help power the generator, because essentially it's just a math problem once you're out there.
Yeah, so soft starter is basically it's an electrical trick. It's like a capacitor. It's going to help even out that electrical draw. So it's going to allow your AC to pop on and not create that surge of power that it needs to kick on.
Now, moving to the third main point is running your day differently. So you want to start moving your boat early in the morning. That way by midday, you're anchored. You have the shades up. As the sun gets hotter, you're already prepared. You have, we're going to talk about the galley and the crew and all of that, different things. But you have everything prepared for the people, for the food, for the nutrition, for the hydration. It's all set up. And then you can plan for the afternoon showers, because if you're in Florida, that's a common thing.
Right. If the showers happen to make it out to the coastal areas, they usually migrate from the Everglades and move eastward out over the ocean.
Well, like that time we were down on the Formula C trial, as we're cruising up, that storm started coming in, right? It was an afternoon storm. It was summertime. It was exactly what a lot of people might experience when it comes to being out on the water. Now, at this point, we weren't anchored. Otherwise, it would have been much more comfortable.
No, yeah, we were not anchored, but we were on our way back to the marina. But we were capable of skipping around the storm.
Yeah,
right?
and then also it's a formula, so we were comfortable. It's a nice boat, man. Those are nice boats.
I would prefer to get to my destination early, get everything set up. This way, you're not trying to do too much activity in the peak heat of the day. From that noon to about 3 p.m., 4 p.m. here in the summer, it's important to just be able to not being expelling too much energy during that time of day.
It's important, most importantly, because chances are you're the captain. You're watching this video, you're the captain, and you know everyone around you is going to depend on you. So you have to be the most hydrated. You need to maintain your energy better than everybody else. They can go get exhausted and jump into the cabin, right? That's not your role. Your role is to provide a safe environment for everybody. And so it's important, you're right, to make sure you're not out in the sun when you don't need to be, while still being able to enjoy the day.
Right. And then you're responsible for maintaining everybody else. So this brings up our next thing is crew. Crew doesn't always mean a crew. It could mean the guests that you have on board. And paying attention to everybody for signs of heat exhaustion is extremely, extremely important, because especially in our heat, the onset can be sudden and the impact can be devastating. And that's very, very critical to watch out for the signs. So you can go over some of the signs, because I know you're very knowledgeable about this stuff.
So cramps, nausea, headaches, confusion. One that I think a lot of people don't realize is sudden tiredness, right? When people are like, oh, I'm just really tired, and it's kind of out of nowhere, that's another really important sign, and it's the one that's often most overlooked, because you're thinking, oh yeah, they've been out, they're moving around, of course they're going to be tired.
It's like what we call hitting the brick wall, right?
Yes.
When you all of a sudden are just like, I'm go, 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 and then all of a sudden, man, I can't go any further. That's a sign of heat exhaustion. You need to take it very serious.
It's almost like the central nervous system. It's too hot, like a computer. When it gets too hot, it starts to function slowly, and you're like, "What's going on? The fan's not working." What? That's happening to the human body in that moment where you're like, oh, "I'm just really tired." You don't think you're hot. You're overheating.
The other one that I will bring up is hydration. Hydration is the most important thing. And in our summer heat, many a times, if you're out there for the entire day, water by itself many times is not enough anymore, because you're going to sweat so much that you can't keep up with it. So keeping your salts, your electrolytes high is very important. So using an electrolyte drink somewhere during the course of the day. Also, if your guests are drinking on board, and by drinking I mean something that might be an alcoholic beverage, enjoying themselves, don't want to discourage that, but you also need to remind them, especially because alcohol can lead to dehydration, is that you should drink some water in between drinks.
Yeah, what people don't realize about hydration is the fact that it's a balance between the water content and then the salts. And let's just call them the salts in your system, right? So some hydration drinks, people think of the new electrolyte drinks or the little things you can mix into water, and yeah, those are great to have on hand because it's space saving. Other great things, you can always turn to Gatorade, or they have a Gator Light. Coconut water is a great one. Coconut water is massive when it comes to staying hydrated. Think about it. Why are coconuts always in areas where there's a lot of heat, a lot of sand, a lot of water?
Full of electrolytes.
Full of the fluids that you need, right? So coconut water is a great one. And I always turn to orange juice too, because then you also get some extra carbs for energy.
Right.
But that's me personally.
Exactly. Me personally, what I look for is if the drink is sweet, it's not going to help me. If it has a salty flavor to it, that's one that's probably going to be most effective for you, right? Because there's a lot of different brands out there. I use some of the oldest in the bank, but there's a lot of different brands out there.
Talking about Pedialyte?
Yeah.
Yo, Pedialyte is great. And if you have kids, you're used to it already. So you mentioned earlier about keeping the cabin cool because you're keeping an eye on your crew, right? The people that feel the heat exhaustion first, or that will feel the weather effects first, are age range, either on the older side or the younger side. So I kind of have a note. They're kind of like a canary in the coal mine. When you start seeing one of them experience something, you know that everyone else is going to experience it shortly thereafter. So you have to start taking action. Part of that might be, if you haven't had the generator running, you haven't had the AC in the cabin running, kick it on, get them some electrolytes. If you have a cooler with plenty of ice, start icing the back of their neck. Start getting, because that's going to cool them off really quick. Start cooling them off so that they don't experience anything, and then keep an eye on everybody else because okay,
it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah, people are
exactly
are
right.
getting
I
a
would
little,
at that point make sure that people are starting to hydrate, and hydration doesn't always have to be, because we're going to bring this up in the next one. Doesn't always have to be a liquid. There's certain foods that'll help you hydrate.
dude. Watermelon.
Watermelon
the
is
best.
the best.
The best. Watermelon. And yeah.
Any one of the melons really are always going to help you hydrate. Cucumbers are going to help you hydrate.
Oh, those are fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cucumbers are like 98% water.
So if you do cucumbers, lime, and salt, not only does it taste good,
but it's going to increase your electrolytes.
and it's so hydrating.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So last points before we move on. The deck gets hot, and if you have pets aboard, it might be too hot for them. It might burn their paws. And then having a water bowl and having ice that you could put in that water bowl for them to give them cool water to help them kind of cool off a little bit. We don't realize. So there's two ways that you drink water. One is at room temperature to hydrate, and one is cool water to help lower the internal body temperature. And all animals essentially function, not all of them, but almost all of them function the same way. So keep that in mind when it comes to giving them water.
And one thing, kind of first aid, if somebody does get into that period of you think that they're experiencing severe heat exhaustion and or heat stroke, where to put ice is critical.
And that's why we always, in rugby, we would always do the neck, because that's where the blood flow goes to your head, which is the main, area the blood goes.
The forehead, the back of the neck, under the armpits, and in the groin.
Moving on to the galley, a few tips. The first tip I'll give, and then the rest I can let you handle, because I know you're the chef between the two of us.
I love to cook, yes.
For me, it's you think about things like ceviche. That's pretty common in a lot of areas. That is very beachy. So what is the main point of that? The fact that it's cold and it's easy to carry and it's easy to put on anything, or you could just eat it straight up. So what you want is a no-cook menu that has cold items in it. You could do a watermelon salad.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
My favorite during the summer, if we're going to be out in the sun, is a watermelon salad. And it is simple as watermelon, pickled onions, add a little tang to it, feta, and mint. That mint kind of brightens it up a little bit and just kind of makes it refreshing too.
I didn't have watermelon salad until I moved to Florida, and it's incredible.
Yep.
So I'm sure everyone watching this is like, you didn't have watermelon salad till your 30s? Yeah, I know.
But the other things that I make, cucumber salad, we do sandwiches, and I prefer to stay away from things that heat can spoil. So no chicken salad, no tuna salad, that type of stuff. It's stuff that incorporates mayo. If you are going to cook, being able to not cook in your galley so you're not heating up those areas is important. So if you have an electric grill or something out in the cockpit area, make sure to use that so you're not heating up your galley.
This is why they have areas called summer kitchens. Yes. Now moving on to boat systems, because we know engine cooling margins are going to shrink during high heat days.
Yes. The water temperature has a huge effect here. We're using raw water to cool our equipment. So our water many a times over here will get in the 80s to high 80s. When that happens and that's the water that you're using to cool down, that's gonna shrink your margins. You're gonna run a little hotter.
So you got to keep an eye on all your gauges. You got to make sure your strainer stays cleaned,
just so you can get maximum flow. Because if your cooling margins are gonna decrease, then
you don't want to make it worse. Also, ventilation while you're away. You don't want things to get musty, because you don't want mildew. You don't want any of that forming. So ventilation is really important, especially if you're away from the vessel. It's important to keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
And have a plan for it. Even if you don't initially plan to be away from your vessel, but you're like, just in case, what am I going to do? It's important to have that.
Right. I mean, there's products. So at the end of the day, if the boat's been open all day, and it's maybe putting a damp rig canister in your cabin to help draw in some of that moisture will help.
This is where that electricity dehumidifier would work too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why they've made it, right? And that's why it's portable. It can fit in any one of your boats.
So one of the bonuses would be gear worth having, that electricity dehumidifier, some cabin fans, some extra fans. If you have a misting bottle or those little portable fans that people wear around their neck sometimes, light colored canvas, anything that would prevent heat from staying trapped on your vessel. You want to incorporate those elements.
So I hope all of these tips give you some ideas of how to stay cool. But until next time, I'm James Anderson.
I'm Ian Sneed.
We'll see you next week.